This episode really encapsulates the continuum that we live on and the polarity that exists between men and women, life and death, strength and weakness, and abuse and love. All of these intimate battles that build the quilt of our lives. The episode starts with a poem by Duns Scotus. It's entitled Presence in Absence. He was a philosopher and a theologian, something I really enjoy together. Oftentimes, that is God's presence. That is exactly how it comes. When we're alone, we feel the love come in. She needs that rock to stand on, the rock of intellectual strength. And she finds that in Ned. In the down times on the road, she sees that all of the men want to do is talk about sex and talk about it in a really gratuitous way. This kind of Neanderthal behavior is pushing her to stay above it. She is a prisoner. And there are many things that can make us feel like a prisoner. There is language that's used that is manipulative. There is violence. There is all sorts of ways that the difference between men and women can become heightened. A lot of it has to do with control. A lot of it has to do with physical strength, that women are weaker than men. And this really starts to play out. God makes us men and women, understanding that one of us will be a little weaker, and there is purpose in that. That this will somehow generate the dynamic of respect, love, protection. They are co-heirs in the grace of Christ. And we are co-heirs, co-partners in life, equal in that sense. And you see that play out in this episode a lot between Jamie and Claire. In the gentle moments, the gentle exchanges that they share together. Claire wanders off and finds a group of women gathered together to do work. The camaraderie is so beautiful and so important for us, that strengthen us, that encourage us, that show us that it's better to be together than to be apart. Very much like being in the trenches to make a team. Then they need more pee, and so Claire decides to participate, and in this very vulnerable place with her skirt up and her legs spread, Angus comes in a very abusive nature. Not one woman speaks up. They know that this behavior is acceptable, is normal, that a man will be using his strength to keep her in line. When a woman is pushed around like that and yelled at, there is a real silencing of a woman's spirit. Claire then fights to get the goat. This really shows Claire's strength, that she's not going to keep silent, that she is going to fight for what is right. And in that moment, the British man comes out from behind and asks if she's okay. This is a divine nod. Claire is really taken aback when it shows up. There is an immediate sense of safety. Someone who is from her home. The man that speaks up understands that he's outnumbered and that he has to go back to retreat, but you know that he won't forget. And Claire won't forget the acknowledgement of what's happening for her. I can think of 3 examples when God goes to visit the isolated in the Bible. One is Elijah in the desert when he flees Jezebel. God appears in a gentle wind and showing his intimate care. Another was when David was in the cave all alone, hiding, and he was crying out to the Lord, thanking him for his deliverance and his presence. And lastly, when Jesus was in the desert for 40 days, and the enemy tried to tempt him with the ability to reign, and the Lord knew that God was with him. When we are isolated, but we also have the presence of the Lord, it's very different because there is such rich communion, such a knowing that he is with you. And in these times, it's really to build strength. It's to keep us separate, keep us quiet, keep us still. And oftentimes, it's just preparation for something that's coming that needs that strength. Dougal gives a presentation of sort to the townspeople, showing them that the British rule is coming in and very brutally. He shows Jamie's back. This is really hard for Claire to watch because she sees that he is exploiting his deepest, biggest wound. And this really stirs up an anger in her to be vocal, to call attention to what is happening. But Jamie comes and meets her and highlights a few things. First, he validates her and says, yes, this is wrong. 2, he says that she is using fighting words. And it's funny because there's fighting going on all around him. Jamie then highlights the source of her anger, and that is what's going on with the money that she believes is being taken from the rents in order to fund the Jacobite Rising. And Jamie says, you are not to judge things that you don't understand. Jamie does have the conversation with Dougal about the way that he is being used. At the end of the conversation, Jamie understands that he does have a price on his head and he is in danger of being killed. And so he punches a tree and is hurting his hand, and Claire comes over. He doesn't turn around at first. He hears the gentle footsteps, the smaller steps of a woman, and he knows it's her. Men need the weaker sex. They need us to be gentle. They need for us to be softer. They need for us to come to where they are in their hardness or their anger. And this moment is so beautiful. And in the movement of the polarity of what you fight for, what you don't fight for, where you surrender, where you don't, the masculine, the feminine, the fighting, the patience, they stare into each other's eyes, which is the ultimate in balance, the ultimate in love. 2 lovers looking into each other's eyes has strength that the whole world could learn from. And she says, don't hit any more trees. In other words, don't hurt yourself. Jamie comes back with something funny. Humor is so important. He says, the trees are safe. In their journey, they come across 2 dead men raised up as an example for everyone to see, with a T carved in their chest for traitor. And I can't help but think that when there are enemies and there are people on the same team, how it gets fueled by storytelling, by death. These fuses that travel up towards the bomb. There is a real sense in Dougal that he wants to fight for his people and make sure that the British do not take over their lands. And the man who came to see if Claire was safe comes back to address the issue with backup. And at this point, Claire has had several moments with Jamie that are very loving and very respectful. Like when he sleeps at her door. This is such a beautiful moment, by the way, if I can go backwards. I think the respect that he will not enter into her domain and that he wants to protect her from other men who may. When a man wants to protect a woman, he is doing it because it is necessary. This is healing, and we are dealing with ruptures and repairs in relationships, in attitudes, in values. It's a beautiful thing to see that things can come back around, that they can be cyclical, that they're like the waves that come in, the waves of disharmony, the waves of abuse, the waves of misunderstanding, the waves of judgment. And yet, when the waves retreat and recede into the ocean, that there is a very real ability to heal from the minor and the major trespassing. In the end, Claire sees there is a choice. Is she going to share her original truth that she was held captive by the MacKenzies? Or is she going to see that they've become like family and that there is love and that there is friendship because so much has changed? And it shows us that we have a choice too. We have a choice to build up resentment with storytelling and gossiping, tales of a way that things are, but maybe have a flip side. Polarity is one thing, but balance is a totally different way of approaching life, of approaching love, approaching relationships, approaching relationship with God, that isolation is not punishment, that isolation is just a time of real reflection and strength building.